The stars looked different from the bridge of the Harmony's edge. Captain Velthari had seen thousands of star systems in her 40 cycles of service with the Azurian Federation, but something about this particular yellow star made her feel uneasy. Her blue-scaled hands moved across the control panel as she checked their position for the third time. "Captain, we are approaching the third planet," announced Navigation Officer Zekmar from his station. His voice carried the usual calm tone of his species, but Velthari could detect a hint of excitement. First contact situations were rare, and this one showed all the signs of being routine. The planet appeared on their main screen. It was mostly blue and green, with white swirls moving across its surface. Velthari had seen many worlds like this before. Water worlds were common, and they usually hosted peaceful civilizations that had learned to work with nature instead of fighting against it. "Scans show a Class 7 civilization," reported Science Officer Nethera. "Multiple space stations, primitive spacecraft, and widespread use of radio communications. They appear to have achieved basic spaceflight within their own system." Velthari nodded. Class 7 civilizations were perfect for first contact. They were advanced enough to understand basic concepts, but not so advanced that they would be difficult to communicate with. The Galactic Council had protocols for exactly this situation. "Begin standard first contact procedures," she ordered. "Send the universal greeting signal, and prepare the translation matrix." High above Earth, Park Ji-han was finishing his daily exercise routine aboard the International Space Station. The Korean astronaut had been on the station for 3 months, and he had grown used to the peaceful silence of space. He was reviewing atmospheric data when the communication system crackled to life with sounds he had never heard before. "Houston, we're getting some kind of signal up here," Park Ji-han reported through his headset. "It's not coming from Earth. The pattern looks artificial, not natural." The response from Mission Control was immediate. "ISS, please record everything and stand by. We're patching you through to the linguistics team." Park Ji-han floated over to the communication station and began recording the strange signals. The sounds were musical, almost like a song, but they followed patterns that seemed too complex to be random. After 20 minutes, the signal stopped, and then something incredible happened. A new voice came through the communication system. It was speaking English, but with a strange accent that Park Ji-han could not identify. "Greetings, inhabitants of the third planet. We are peaceful explorers from the Azurian Federation. We wish to establish communication with your people." Park Ji-han's heart raced. This was it. First contact with an alien civilization. He had trained for many situations in space, but not this one. He took a deep breath and responded in the calmest voice he could manage. "Hello. This is Park Ji-han aboard the International Space Station. I represent the people of Earth. We are honored to meet you." Aboard the Harmony's edge, the translation matrix worked perfectly. The human's response came through clearly, and Velthari smiled. This was going exactly as the protocols predicted. "We are pleased to make contact with you, Park Ji-han of Earth," Velthari replied. "I am Captain Velthari. We would like to learn about your world and your people. May we ask about the conditions on your planet?" Park Ji-han thought for a moment. This seemed like a simple question. "Of course. Earth is a beautiful world. We have a good atmosphere with about 21% oxygen. The temperature ranges from about -90 degrees to +58 degrees Celsius, depending on the season and location. Gravity is standard at 9.8 meters per second squared. We get some radiation from our sun, but our atmosphere protects us pretty well." On the alien ship, several crew members exchanged worried glances. Science Officer Nethara checked her readings twice before speaking. "Captain, did the humans say 21% oxygen? That's extremely high. Most civilizations can barely tolerate 12%. Velthari frowned. Perhaps there was a translation error. "Continue the conversation." "Park Ji-han," Velthari continued. "When you mentioned temperature variations, are those the temperatures in your controlled living spaces?" Park Ji-han laughed. "Oh no, those are just the natural outdoor temperatures. We live and work in all of those conditions. Well, we wear protective clothing in the really cold places, but people live in both the hot and cold regions year-round. Our cities are built to handle the temperature changes." The bridge of the Harmony's edge became very quiet. Navigation Officer Zekmar spoke in a whisper. "Captain, my people cannot survive in temperatures below 10 degrees Celsius or above 30 degrees. This human is describing conditions that would kill most known species." Velthari felt a chill run down her spine. "Ask him about their sun's radiation. Park Ji-han, you mentioned radiation from your sun. How do your people protect themselves from this dangerous exposure? Park Ji-han sounded confused. Dangerous? Well, we use sunscreen if we're going to be outside for a long time. Some people wear hats. But we actually need the radiation from our sun to stay healthy. Our bodies make vitamins from it. A lot of people actually try to get more sun exposure, not less. Science Officer Nethera was rapidly checking her database. Captain, this is impossible. They're describing direct exposure to stellar radiation as beneficial. No known species can survive that level of exposure. What about their gravity? Velthari asked quietly. Park Ji-han, the gravity you mentioned, 9.8 meters per second squared, is that artificially enhanced for some reason? No, that's just natural Earth gravity, Park Ji-han replied. Why do you ask? Is that unusual? Velthari looked at her crew. The maximum gravity that Azurians could tolerate for extended periods was 6.2 meters per second squared. Most civilizations in the galaxy lived on worlds with gravity between 3 and 7 meters per second squared. Park Ji-han, Velthari said carefully. What do your people do for recreation? How do you spend your free time? Oh, lots of things, Park Ji-han said cheerfully. Many people enjoy hiking in the mountains or swimming in the ocean. Some people like extreme sports like skydiving or mountain climbing. I personally enjoy martial arts and rock climbing. We also have sports where people run for long distances or compete in various physical challenges. Communications Officer Thelwyn turned to the captain with wide eyes. Captain, he's describing recreational activities that would be considered military-grade endurance training for most species. And what is ocean swimming? Are they referring to survival training in hostile liquid environments? Velthari was beginning to understand that they were not dealing with a typical Class 7 civilization. Park Ji-han, could you tell us about the other life forms on your planet? What kinds of animals share your world? Park Ji-han's voice became animated. Oh, Earth has amazing wildlife. We have everything from tiny insects to massive whales. Some of our land animals are really impressive. We have big cats like lions and tigers, bears that can weigh over 600 kilograms, and wolves that hunt in packs. In the ocean, we have sharks, which are incredible predators, and giant squids. There are venomous snakes and spiders, too. It's a very diverse ecosystem. The bridge of the Harmony's edge was completely silent. Science Officer Nethera was frantically searching through galactic databases. Captain, she whispered, he's describing a planet full of apex predators. These lions and bears he mentions would be classified as Class A biological weapons by galactic standards. And he speaks about them as if they're just normal neighbors. Velthari realized they were facing something unprecedented. This was not a routine first contact with a peaceful waterworld civilization. They had discovered something that challenged everything the galaxy thought it knew about habitable worlds and the species that could survive on them. Park Ji-han, Velthari said slowly, we would very much like to continue our conversation. Would it be possible for us to meet with representatives of your people? We think this cultural exchange could be very beneficial for both our civilizations. I would love that, Park Ji-han replied. I'm sure our scientists and diplomats would be very interested in meeting you. Let me contact my mission control and see what we can arrange. As the communication ended, Velthari turned to her crew. They all looked shocked and worried. Communications, send an immediate message to the Galactic Council, she ordered. Priority Alpha classification. We may have discovered something that will change everything we know about habitable worlds and the civilizations that develop on them. The crew of the Harmony's Edge had no idea that their routine first contact mission was about to reshape the understanding of what was possible for intelligent life in the galaxy. Dr. Kang Mirai had dreamed of this moment her entire life. As Earth's leading xenolinguist, she had spent years studying the possibility of alien contact. Now she stood in the docking bay of the Harmony's Edge, wearing a simple white jumpsuit and carrying a small bag of Earth items for cultural exchange. The alien ship was beautiful. The walls seemed to glow with the soft blue light and everything looked smooth and curved. It was so different from the angular metal construction that humans were used to. As she walked through the corridors with Captain Velthari, Dr. Kang noticed that the gravity felt lighter than Earth normal. Your ship is amazing, Dr. Kang said as they entered what appeared to be a meeting room. The artificial gravity is very comfortable. It feels like about 0.7 Earth gravity. Captain Velthari stopped walking. Dr. Kang, this is not artificial gravity. This is the standard gravity that most ships in the galaxy use. We set it to 6.8 meters per second squared because that is comfortable for most species. Dr. Kang smiled. Oh, that makes sense. This would be very relaxing for humans. We're used to much heavier gravity, so this feels nice and light. The alien captain looked worried, but she continued the tour. Soon they reached a large room where several other aliens were waiting. Dr. Kang was excited to see so many different species in one place. There were tall, thin beings with green skin, shorter creatures that looked almost like walking trees, and others that seemed to be made of some kind of living crystal. "Welcome, Dr. Kang," said a tall alien with purple skin and 4 arms. "I am Ambassador Theknar, representative of the Galactic Council. We are very interested to learn about your world and your people." Dr. Kang sat down at the table and opened her bag. "I brought some things from Earth to show you. I thought they might help you understand our culture better." She pulled out a small potted plant. It was just a common house plant, something that any human would recognize. But when she placed it on the table, several of the aliens moved their chairs back. "This is a snake plant," Dr. Kang explained. "Many humans keep these in their homes because they help clean the air. They're very easy to take care of and they can survive in almost any conditions." Science Officer Nathara scanned the plant with a small device. Her face turned pale. "Dr. Kang, this plant is producing oxygen at levels that would be toxic to most species. And it's absorbing carbon dioxide at a rate that suggests your atmosphere has extremely high CO2 tolerance levels." Dr. Kang looked confused. "Really? We just think of them as normal plants. They help make the air in our homes more fresh and clean." Ambassador Theknar leaned forward carefully. "Dr. Kang, could you tell us about your planet's history? How long have your people lived on Earth?" "Oh, humans have been around for about 300,000 years, Dr. Kang said. But our planet is much older than that. Earth is about 4.5 billion years old. It's been through a lot of changes over time." "What kind of changes?" asked Captain Velthari. Dr. Kang thought for a moment. "Well, we've had several ice ages where most of the planet was covered in ice. The temperature dropped so low that many species died out. We've also had periods where the climate was much hotter than it is now. There have been huge volcanic eruptions that changed the atmosphere, and at least 5 major extinction events where most life on the planet was wiped out." The room became very quiet. Dr. Kang noticed that some of the aliens were whispering to each other in worried voices, but life always came back, she continued cheerfully. "That's one of the amazing things about Earth. Life is very good at adapting and surviving even when conditions get really difficult." "Dr. Kang," Ambassador Theknar said slowly, "when you say ice ages, exactly how cold did your planet become?" "During the last ice age, about 20,000 years ago, average temperatures were about 6 degrees Celsius colder than they are now. In some places, temperatures stayed below -40 degrees for months at a time. Huge sheets of ice covered most of the northern continents. A small alien that looked like a walking plant made a choking sound. -40 degrees? For months? How did anything survive?" Dr. Kang smiled. "Well, humans survived by learning to make fire, build shelters, and work together. Many animals survived by growing thick fur or by hibernating. Some animals actually adapted so well to the cold that they're still around today. We have polar bears that live in the Arctic where it's always cold." She pulled out her tablet and showed them pictures of polar bears. "These guys can weigh up to 700 kilograms and they swim in water that's below freezing. They hunt seals through holes in the ice." Science Officer Nathara was rapidly taking notes. "Dr. Kang, you're describing predators that survive in conditions that would kill most galactic species within minutes. And you say they're just normal animals on your world?" "Oh yes," Dr. Kang said. "We have lots of different predators. Would you like to see pictures of some others?" Before anyone could answer, she was showing them photos of lions, tigers, sharks, and crocodiles. With each picture, the aliens in the room became more and more uncomfortable. "This is a great white shark," Dr. Kang explained, showing a picture of the massive predator. "They can grow up to 6 meters long and they have rows and rows of sharp teeth. They're perfectly designed for hunting. Some humans actually swim with them for fun." Commander Lee Dongyun, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. "Dr. Kang, maybe we should also tell them about some of our natural disasters." Dr. Kang's eyes lit up. "Oh yes, Earth has some really impressive natural phenomena. We get hurricanes, which are massive storms with winds up to 300 kilometers per hour. We have earthquakes that can move entire mountains, and volcanoes that can cover hundreds of kilometers with lava and ash." "How do your people survive these disasters?" asked Captain Velthari. "Well, we've learned to predict many of them and evacuate people from dangerous areas," Dr. Kang said. "But sometimes people get caught in them anyway. Humans are pretty good at surviving in emergency situations. We have search and rescue teams that go into dangerous areas to help people. She showed them a video on her tablet of a rescue helicopter flying through a hurricane. This is from last year. The crew flew through the storm to rescue people from a sinking ship. The aliens watched in horror as the helicopter battled through winds and rain that would destroy most galactic aircraft. Scientist Yoon Ji-hyo, who was part of Dr. Kang's team, added, "We also have tsunamis, which are giant waves that can be 40 meters tall, and tornadoes, which are spinning columns of air that can destroy entire cities. And people live on this planet willingly?" asked Ambassador Theknar in disbelief. "Of course," Dr. Kang said. "It's our home. Besides, the disasters don't happen very often in most places, and Earth is beautiful. We have amazing forests, mountains, oceans, and deserts. The diversity of life is incredible." Captain Velthari excused herself and stepped out of the room. In the hallway, she immediately contacted the Galactic Council. "Emergency session required," she said into her communicator. "Priority Alpha classification. We need immediate consultation on planetary classification protocols." Within hours, representatives from dozens of species were connected via hologram for an emergency council session. Captain Velthari presented her findings while Dr. Kang and her team waited in the meeting room. "The planet these humans call Earth appears to violate everything we know about habitable worlds," Captain Velthari reported. "The atmospheric composition, gravitational field, temperature variations, radiation levels, and predator density all fall far outside the range of what we consider survivable." Council member Zarthek of the Hegemony spoke first. "Perhaps these humans are not telling the truth. Maybe they are trying to make their world sound more dangerous than it is." "I thought the same thing," Captain Velthari replied. "But our scans of their planet confirm everything they've told us. If anything, they seem to be understating the danger." Dr. Yelnara, the Council's leading expert on planetary classification, had been reviewing the data. "Based on the information provided, I'm recommending immediate classification as a Class 13 Deathworld." The Council chamber erupted in shocked voices. Class 13 was a theoretical classification that had never been used. The highest classification ever assigned to a planet with intelligent life was Class 8. Class 13 is reserved for planets so hostile that intelligent life cannot possibly evolve there, protested Council member Velton. "You're saying these humans evolved on a planet that should be uninhabitable?" "That appears to be exactly what happened," Dr. Yelnara replied. "And somehow they not only survived but developed advanced technology in spaceflight." The vote was close, but the Council agreed to the unprecedented Class 13 classification. They also voted to establish a quarantine zone around Earth, while they decided what to do next. Back on the Harmony's edge, Dr. Kang was showing the aliens pictures of her family enjoying a beach vacation when Captain Velthari returned to the meeting room. "Dr. Kang," Captain Velthari said carefully, "the Galactic Council has reviewed the information about your world. We're going to need some time to decide how to proceed with contact between our civilizations." Dr. Kang looked disappointed. "Oh, did we do something wrong?" "No," Captain Velthari assured her. "You and your people have been wonderful. It's just that your world is very different from anything we've encountered before." News of the Kepler 442b rescue traveled fast through the galactic communication networks. Within days, every major species had heard about the humans who treated impossible conditions like a normal workday. What started as whispered conversations in diplomatic circles soon became urgent requests for help from across the galaxy. The first official request came from the Zephyrian Science Council. Their research station on Titan 7 had suffered a catastrophic system failure, and the temperature inside their facilities had dropped to what they called lethal levels. Dr. Shin Woo-jin, Earth's leading expert in extreme climate operations, read the emergency report while sitting in his office in Seoul. "Temperature has fallen to -42 degrees Celsius, the report stated. "All Zephyrian personnel are in critical condition. Standard heating systems cannot function in these conditions. Estimate less than 18 hours before complete facility failure. Request immediate assistance." Dr. Shin looked at the temperature reading again and smiled. -42 degrees was cold, but it was not unusual for winter in many parts of Earth. He had worked in much colder conditions during research missions in Antarctica. "We can help them," Dr. Shin told his team. "Pack the standard cold weather gear. This should be a straightforward repair job." When Dr. Shin's team arrived at Titan 7, They found the Zephyrian scientists huddled in emergency shelters, wearing every piece of clothing they could find. The Zephyrians were tall, thin beings who normally lived in carefully controlled environments. The cold had made them sluggish and confused. "Thank goodness you came," said Chief Scientist Velandra through chattering teeth. "We cannot survive much longer in these terrible conditions." Dr. Shin and his team stepped out of their transport ship wearing what they called light winter gear. To the Zephyrians, the humans looked like they were dressed for a casual walk, not a life-threatening emergency. "The temperature readings show -42 degrees, Dr. Shin said. "That's chilly but very workable. We should have your heating systems repaired within a few hours." Engineer Park Ji-hoon began examining the broken heating systems, while Dr. Shin assessed the situation. The Zephyrian equipment had failed because it was not designed to work in what humans considered moderate cold. "The problem is simple," Engineer Park explained to the amazed Zephyrians. "Your heating elements are too weak for this temperature range. We'll install some backup systems that can handle much colder conditions." As the human team worked, the Zephyrians watched in amazement. The humans moved quickly and efficiently in the cold that had nearly killed the alien scientists. They worked with bare hands for short periods, something that would have caused immediate frostbite for most galactic species. "How are you not affected by this deadly cold?" asked Chief Scientist Velandra. Dr. Shin paused in his work. "Deadly cold? This is just normal winter weather on Earth. Many humans live and work in temperatures much colder than this. Some of our cities regularly experience -50 degrees or colder." Within 6 hours, the human team had completely repaired the heating systems and installed backup units that could handle temperatures down to -80 degrees. As they prepared to leave, Chief Scientist Velandra approached Dr. Shin. "We cannot thank you enough," she said. "You saved our entire research station. How can we repay this debt?" Dr. Shin looked puzzled. "Debt? We were just helping neighbors. That's what people do when someone needs help." The second request came from the Botanical Institute of Kepler 438c. Explorer. Hansora read their message while preparing for what she thought would be a routine consulting job. "Our archaeological team is trapped in hostile jungle. Environment," the message read. "Dangerous plant life and extreme humidity levels. Multiple predatory species. Temperature reaching 38 degrees Celsius with 95% humidity. Unable to continue research operations. Request immediate evacuation assistance." Explorer. Hansora had grown up in the forests of Korea and had led expeditions through jungles on 6 different continents of Earth. She packed her standard jungle gear and prepared for what sounded like a pleasant research trip. When she arrived at Kepler 438c, she found the archaeological team trapped in their base camp. The jungle outside looked beautiful and green, very similar to Earth's tropical rainforests. The alien archaeologists were wearing heavy environmental suits and looked exhausted. "Thank you for coming," said Team Leader Morgeth. "The jungle has become too dangerous for us to continue our work. The heat and humidity are killing our equipment, and we have encountered several predatory creatures." Explorer Han stepped out of the transport wearing light clothes and carrying a simple backpack. The temperature was warm and humid but very comfortable by Earth standards. "This is lovely weather," she said, breathing in the fresh jungle air. "What kind of predators are you worried about?" Team Leader Morgeth pointed to a nearby tree where a creature about the size of a house cat was watching them. "That beast has been stalking our camp for days. It has sharp claws and teeth, and it shows no fear of our presence." Explorer Han looked at the creature and laughed. "That's just a small arboreal mammal. It's probably curious about you because you're new in its territory. It's completely harmless." She walked calmly toward the creature, which allowed her to approach within a few meters before running up the tree. The alien archaeologist gasped in horror. "You just approached a deadly predator without any protection," Team Leader Morgeth said. "Deadly predator?" Explorer Han looked confused. "That little guy couldn't hurt anyone. On Earth, we have house cats bigger than that creature, and children play with them safely." Explorer Han spent the next 3 days guiding the archaeological team through the jungle. What the aliens saw as a hostile environment full of dangers, she saw as a pleasant nature walk. She identified edible plants, showed them how to move quietly through the forest, and taught them to recognize which animals were actually dangerous. "The key to jungle exploration," she explained, "is understanding that most creatures are more afraid of you than you are of them. You just need to respect their space and move calmly." By the end of the 3 days, the archaeological team had completed more research than they had managed in the previous month. They had also learned that their deadly jungle was actually one of the most peaceful environments that explorer On had ever worked in. The third request came from the Stellar Navigation Guild pilot Ryu Minho read their emergency message while sitting in his apartment in Busan. Transport ship stranded in dangerous atmospheric conditions on planet Vega 7, the message read. Severe windstorms and atmospheric turbulence. Winds reaching 120 kilometers per hour with severe downdrafts. Unable to achieve safe atmospheric entry for rescue. Request assistance from specialist extreme weather pilots. Pilot Ryu had flown rescue missions through typhoons in the Pacific Ocean. Winds of 120 kilometers per hour were strong, but well within the operating limits of Earth aircraft. I can handle that, Pilot Ryu told the Navigation Guild. Those wind conditions are challenging but definitely flyable. When Pilot Ryu arrived at Vega 7, he found a fleet of galactic rescue ships orbiting the planet. They had been trying to reach the stranded transport for 2 days, but the atmospheric conditions had defeated every attempt. The winds are too strong for safe flight, explained Fleet Commander Rathvik. Our best pilots cannot maintain control in those conditions. The atmospheric turbulence is beyond anything in our experience. Pilot Ryu reviewed the weather data and prepared his ship for atmospheric entry. The conditions were rough but similar to flying through a strong storm on Earth. I'm beginning my descent now, Pilot Ryu reported. The Galactic Rescue Fleet watched in amazement as the human pilot descended through atmospheric conditions that had stopped their best aviators. Pilot Ryu's ship handled the turbulence and strong winds like they were minor inconveniences. How is he maintaining control in those impossible conditions? Asked Flight Leader Veltaran. Pilot Ryu's calm voice came through the communication link. The winds are strong but predictable. I'm using the downdrafts to help control my descent speed. Should reach the surface in about 10 minutes. Pilot Ryu successfully landed on Vega 7, rescued the stranded crew, and returned to orbit in less than 2 hours. What had been an impossible rescue mission for galactic pilots was a routine flight for someone trained on Earth. As these stories spread through the galaxy, a pattern became clear. Humans were not just surviving in conditions that other species found impossible. They were thriving in those conditions and making them look easy. Dr. Yelnara, the Galactic Council's expert on planetary classification, was forced to write a new report. It appears that humans have developed abilities that allow them to operate effectively in environments far beyond the tolerance of other known species, she wrote. Their classification as inhabitants of a Class 13, Deathworld may actually be an advantage rather than a limitation. The galaxy was beginning to understand that Earth's harsh conditions had created something unique, a species that treated extreme environments as normal working conditions. And as more requests for help arrived each day, it became clear that the humans were willing to use their unusual abilities to help anyone who needed assistance. Each successful mission changed the galaxy's perspective a little more. The humans were not dangerous because they came from a death world. The emergency signal came through the Galactic Communication Network at 347 Standard Time. Mining colony Kepler 442b was in serious trouble. What had started as a routine mining operation had turned into a disaster when the planet's volcanic system became active without warning. Admiral Kethvar of the Galactic Rescue Fleet received the distress call at his headquarters on Centauri. Prime. The message was short and desperate. Colony under siege by volcanic activity. Ground shaking continuously. Toxic gases rising. 847 colonists trapped in mining shafts. Need immediate evacuation. Repeat. Need immediate evacuation. Admiral Kethvar had led rescue operations for over 30 years. He had saved colonies from floods, storms, and equipment failures. But volcanic activity was different. It was unpredictable and extremely dangerous. Prepare Rescue Fleet Omega, he ordered his staff. Full emergency response. We launch in 2 hours. The rescue fleet consisted of 12 ships with the galaxy's best emergency response teams. They had specialists from 6 different species, all trained to handle dangerous situations. As they traveled toward Kepler 442b, Admiral Kethvar reviewed the planet data. Kepler 442b was classified as a Class 4 world. It had reasonable gravity, breathable atmosphere, and moderate temperatures. The volcanic activity was supposed to be dormant, but something had changed, and now the planet was becoming hostile to the colonists who lived there. When the rescue fleet arrived at Kepler 442b, Admiral Kethvar could see the problem immediately. The planet's surface was covered with dark clouds, and red glows showed where lava was flowing. The ground was shaking so much that their ships could not land safely. "Sir, we cannot get close to the surface," reported Captain Yelthor from the lead rescue ship. "The atmospheric conditions are too dangerous for our equipment. Sulfur dioxide levels are at 200 parts per million. Our suits can only protect us for 20 minutes in those conditions." Admiral Kethavar studied the readings. The temperature at the surface was 85 degrees Celsius. The air pressure was fluctuating wildly due to the eruptions. Toxic gases were everywhere, and the ground was shaking with magnitude 6 earthquakes every few minutes. "What about the mining tunnels?" Admiral Kethavar asked. "Even worse, sir. The tunnels are filling with toxic gases and some are collapsing. We estimate that the colonists have maybe 12 hours before conditions become lethal." Admiral Kethavar made the difficult decision. "We cannot risk our rescue teams in these conditions. The planet has become too hostile for standard rescue operations." That was when Communications Officer Velneth made an unusual suggestion. "Sir, what about the humans? They claim to be specialists in extreme environments." Admiral Kethavar paused. The humans had been quarantined after their planet was classified as a Class 13 Deathworld. Most of the galaxy was still trying to understand how they had survived on such a hostile world. But maybe that experience could be useful now. "Contact Earth," Admiral Kethavar ordered. "Explain the situation. Ask if they can help." The response from Earth came back in less than an hour. Captain Kim Tae-hyun of the Earth Emergency Response Corps was ready to lead a rescue mission. But his message was confusing to the galactic rescue teams. "We can have a team ready in 6 hours," Captain Kim said through the communication link. "This looks like a standard volcanic emergency response situation. We'll bring our normal disaster gear." Admiral Kethavar was puzzled. "Captain Kim, perhaps you don't understand. The surface temperature is 85 degrees Celsius. The atmosphere contains deadly levels of toxic gases. The ground is experiencing continuous major earthquakes." "Yes, sir, I read the report," Captain Kim replied calmly. "Those conditions are well within our operational parameters. My team has handled much worse situations." Admiral Kethavar could not believe what he was hearing. Conditions that had stopped the galaxy's best rescue teams were considered routine by these humans. The human rescue ship arrived 6 hours later. It was smaller than the galactic rescue ships but looked much more solid and heavy. When Admiral Kethavar saw the human team, he was surprised. There were only 12 humans and they did not seem to be wearing any special protective equipment. Captain Kim Tae-hyun was a calm, confident man who spoke with the easy manner of someone who had done dangerous rescues many times before. With him were Engineer Choi Soo-yeon and Medic Oh Kyung-min, along with 9 other specialists. "Thank you for coming," Admiral Kethavar said as the humans boarded his command ship. "I must warn you, the conditions on the planet are extremely dangerous." Captain Kim nodded. "We appreciate the warning, sir. We've reviewed the data. Engineer Choi has already planned our entry strategy." Engineer Choi Soo-yeon stepped forward. She was a small woman, but she spoke with total confidence. "The volcanic activity is actually helping us," she said. "The heat from the lava flows will create air currents that we can use for faster descent. The earthquakes are following a predictable pattern, so we can time our movements between the major shocks." Admiral Kethavar stared at her. "You're saying the disasters are helping you?" "Yes, sir," Engineer Choi replied. "We call it using the environment to your advantage. It's a basic principle of emergency response." Medic Oh Kyung-min was checking his medical supplies. "Sir, what kind of injuries should we expect from the colonists?" "The colonists are mostly suffering from heat exhaustion, breathing problems from toxic gases, and panic from the earthquakes," Admiral Kethavar said. Medic Oh nodded. "Standard disaster response injuries. We'll have them stabilized and ready for transport within a few hours." The humans prepared for their mission with an efficiency that amazed the galactic observers. They put on what they called hazmat suits, but these suits looked much lighter and simpler than the heavy protective gear that galactic species needed. "Captain Kim," Admiral Kethavar said, "are you sure that equipment will protect you? Our analysis shows that the planet's surface will kill most known species within minutes." Captain Kim checked his suit one more time. "These suits are rated for much worse conditions than what we're seeing on Kepler 442b. We use similar gear for volcano rescues on Earth." "You have volcanoes on Earth?" asked Admiral Kethavar. "Oh yes, lots of them," Captain Kim said casually. "We have about 2,500 active volcanoes. Some of them erupt regularly. We've learned to work around them. The human team descended to the planet's surface while the galactic rescue teams watched from orbit. The planet that had been too dangerous for galactic specialists looked almost peaceful as the humans moved across it. Engineer Choi Soo-yeon guided the team through the unstable terrain with the skill of someone who had done this type of work many times. When earthquakes shook the ground, the humans simply waited for them to pass and then continued moving. When toxic gases blocked their path, they used portable fans to clear the air. "This is incredible," Admiral Kethvar said as he watched the human team. "They're moving across that hostile surface like they're taking a walk in a park." Captain Kim's voice came through the communication link. "We've reached the first mining tunnel. Beginning colonist evacuation now." The human team worked with amazing speed and efficiency. They entered the collapsed and gas-filled tunnels without hesitation. When they found colonists, Medico quickly treated their injuries, while the others cleared debris and opened escape routes. "Colonist Group 1 secure," Captain Kim reported. 47 individuals, all stable. Moving to Tunnel Complex B. Within 3 hours, the human team had evacuated all 847 colonists from the mining tunnels. They treated injuries, cleared blocked passages, and guided everyone to safety. They worked through earthquake after earthquake without stopping. The most amazing part was how calm they remained. When lava flows blocked their planned route, Engineer Choi simply found a new path. When toxic gas levels spiked, the team adjusted their equipment and kept working. When the ground opened up in new cracks, they used ropes and climbing gear to cross the gaps. Final group evacuated, Captain Kim reported. All 847 colonists accounted for and stable. Ready for pickup? Admiral Kethvar could hardly believe it. The planet that had stopped his entire rescue fleet had been handled by 12 humans in under 6 hours. As the human team returned to orbit with all the rescued colonists, Admiral Kethvar met them in the docking bay. The humans looked tired but satisfied, like workers finishing a normal day's job. "Captain Kim," Admiral Kethvar said, "I don't understand how you did that. The conditions on that planet should have been impossible to work in." Captain Kim removed his helmet and smiled. "Admiral, on Earth we have a saying. The difficult we do immediately. The impossible takes a little longer. This rescue was difficult, but it wasn't impossible." Engineer Choi added, "The conditions were challenging, but they weren't that much worse than what we deal with during volcanic emergencies on Earth. We train for this type of environment." Admiral Kethvar realized that his understanding of what was possible had just changed completely. The humans had not just succeeded where galactic specialists had failed. They had made it look easy. Word of the rescue spread quickly through galactic communication networks. The species that had voted to quarantine Earth were now asking themselves a difficult question. If humans could solve problems that the galaxy's best teams could not handle, maybe the quarantine was a mistake. The Galactic Council's Scientific Review Committee had been studying Earth for 3 months when Dr. Yelnara made a discovery that would change everything. She was reviewing the biological survey data that humans had provided when she found something that made her call an emergency meeting. "Council members," Dr. Yelnara announced to the assembled representatives, "we need to discuss the Earth wildlife documentation. What I'm about to show you will challenge everything we thought we knew about predator-prey relationships." She activated the main display screen and showed the first image. It was a photo of a human child, maybe 8 years old, sitting next to a large furry animal with pointed ears and a long snout. "This creature is called a dog by the humans," Dr. Yelnara explained. "According to their biological data, it is descended from wolves, which are pack-hunting predators with powerful jaws capable of crushing bone." The council members looked at the image in confusion. The large predator was sitting calmly next to the small human, and both looked happy. "I don't understand," said Council Member Thexar. "Why is the predator not attacking the human child?" Dr. Yelnara touched her control panel and showed more images. Humans walking with dogs, playing with dogs, and sleeping with dogs curled up beside them. According to the humans, they have lived with these wolf descendants for over 15,000 years. They call this relationship domestication. The predators live in human homes and are considered family members. The council chamber became very quiet. On most worlds, any predator larger than a small bird was considered extremely dangerous. The idea of inviting apex predators to live in homes with children was unthinkable. Council member Velthara spoke carefully. "Are you saying that humans deliberately keep dangerous predators as pets?" That's exactly what I'm saying, Dr. Yelnara replied. And dogs are just the beginning. She showed the next set of images. Humans riding on the backs of massive four-legged creatures. These are horses, Dr. Yelnara explained. They weigh up to 1,000 kilograms and can run at speeds of 70 kilometers per hour. They have powerful legs that can kick with enough force to break bones. Humans sit on their backs and direct their movement for transportation and recreation. Council member Zachreth made a choking sound. They ride on top of these beasts. What stops the creatures from throwing them off and trampling them? According to human records, this sometimes happens, Dr. Yelnara said. They call it being thrown from a horse, but they consider it a normal risk of the activity. The next images showed humans swimming in large bodies of water while massive gray and white creatures swam nearby. These are whales. Dr. Yelnara continued. Some species can grow to 30 meters in length and weigh 200 tons. They are intelligent predators that hunt in coordinated groups. Humans swim near them voluntarily for what they call whale watching. Dr. Yelnara paused and looked around the council chamber. But we haven't reached the truly shocking part yet. She activated a video file. It showed a human in diving gear swimming underwater near a massive creature with rows of sharp teeth. This is a great white shark, Dr. Yelnara announced. It is a perfect apex predator. Length up to 6 meters. Weight up to 2,500 kilograms. With multiple rows of razor-sharp teeth designed for cutting through flesh and bone. Its bite force exceeds 18,000 newtons. The video showed the enormous predator swimming past the human diver, who remained calm and continued filming. This human is deliberately entering the water with a creature that could kill and eat him in seconds, Dr. Yelnara said. According to the documentation, this is called shark diving, and humans do it for entertainment. Council member Morgeth stood up from his chair. This is impossible. No species would voluntarily enter the domain of such a predator. There's more, Dr. Yelnara said grimly. She showed images of humans in small boats on water, with massive shapes visible beneath the surface. These are orcas, also called killer whales. They are the ocean's apex predators, hunting everything from fish to other whales. They are intelligent, work in groups, and have never been successfully domesticated by any known species. The video showed orcas swimming around human boats, sometimes jumping out of the water near the vessels. The humans call this whale watching, Dr. Yelnara explained. They deliberately seek out these predators to observe them up close. At this point, Ambassador Theknar requested permission to speak. Dr. Yelnara, are you telling us that humans actively seek out the most dangerous predators on their planet for recreational purposes? Yes, Dr. Yelnara replied. But we're still not finished. She showed images of large facilities filled with water, where humans were swimming with dolphins. These dolphins are highly intelligent marine predators with echolocation abilities that make them perfect underwater hunters. Humans have built special facilities where they can swim with them safely. Then came the images that made several council members leave the chamber. Humans standing near massive brown creatures that stood upright on their hind legs. These are bears, Dr. Yelnara announced. Some species can weigh over 700 kilograms and stand 3 meters tall. They have claws longer than most species' fingers and jaws powerful enough to crush skulls. They are omnivorous predators capable of eating almost anything. The images showed humans observing bears from what appeared to be very short distances. According to human documentation, bear attacks are rare because bears usually avoid humans. The humans have learned to coexist with these creatures by understanding their behavior patterns. Dr. Yelnara saved the most shocking revelation for last. She showed images of a human woman in a white coat, holding a small creature with fangs. This is veterinarian Binari, Dr. Yelnara announced. She is a human who specializes in treating predators when they become sick or injured. The images showed veterinarian Bay working with animals that would be classified as biological weapons by galactic standards. Lions with massive manes, tigers with distinctive stripes, and leopards with spotted coats. She puts her hands inside the mouths of these creatures to examine their teeth, Dr. Yelnara explained. She treats their injuries and illnesses. These predators allow her to touch them because they understand she is helping them. Councilmember Veltine spoke in a whisper. She heals the predators instead of running from them? Yes, Dr. Yelnara confirmed. And there are thousands of humans who do similar work. They call it veterinary medicine and wildlife conservation. The next video showed wildlife expert Go Seungwan walking through a large enclosure where multiple large cats were resting in the shade. This human works at what they call a zoo, Dr. Yelnara explained. It is a facility where humans keep predators from all over their planet so that other humans can safely observe them. The video showed Go Seung-wan entering the enclosure and walking among the big cats, who barely looked up from their resting spots. How does he know they won't attack him? Asked Council Member Zarketh. According to the documentation, he understands their behavior and has built relationships with individual animals over time, Dr. Yelnara replied. He knows which ones are dangerous and which ones will tolerate his presence. The final presentation showed researcher Moon Ji-won, who had spent time studying galactic fauna during cultural exchanges. Dr. Moon has examined several species from our worlds, Dr. Yelnara said. Her conclusion is that most galactic wildlife is surprisingly docile compared to Earth species. Dr. Moon's report was displayed on the screen. It read, "The average predator species encountered in galactic civilizations would be considered gentle by Earth standards. Most lack the hunting efficiency, physical power, or aggressive behavior patterns that characterize Earth predators. This suggests that other worlds have not experienced the same evolutionary pressures that shaped Earth's ecosystem." The council chamber was completely silent for several minutes. Finally, Council Member Theknar spoke. "Are you telling us that humans evolved on a planet where the normal wildlife consists of creatures that we would classify as weapons of mass destruction?" "That appears to be correct," Dr. Yelnara replied. "And furthermore, they have learned to live peacefully with these creatures and in many cases to cooperate with them." Dr. Yelnara closed her presentation with a final image. It showed a human family having a picnic in a park while various animals grazed nearby. Deer, squirrels, and birds moved freely around the humans, showing no fear. "This is what humans consider a normal outdoor recreational activity," she said. "They share their environment with creatures that most galactic species would consider too dangerous to encounter." As the council session ended, several members were already updating their homeworld defense protocols. If humans could casually coexist with such predators, what did that say about humanity's own capabilities? The revelation about Earth's wildlife had answered one question, but raised many others. The humans weren't just tough because they survived on a harsh planet. They were tough because they had evolved alongside creatures that made them tougher just to survive. And if humans could make friends with apex predators, what could they accomplish when they turned their attention to the challenges facing the galaxy? 6 months after the first contact with Earth, the galaxy had changed in ways that no one could have predicted. What started as a routine survey mission had become the most important event in galactic history. Admiral Song Min-jae stood on the bridge of the Earthship Sol's Promise, looking out at the fleet that now followed his command. The fleet was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Human ships worked alongside vessels from 12 different species, all coordinated under Earth's new Interstellar Emergency Response Program. But not everyone was happy about these changes. Admiral Song received a priority message from Earth Command while his fleet was responding to a mining accident on Rigel 4. The message was marked urgent, and when he read it, he understood why. "Admiral Song," the message read, "the Valkyrian hegemony has issued an official protest to the Galactic Council. They are demanding that all human rescue operations be stopped immediately. They claim that human involvement in galactic affairs violates the original quarantine orders." Admiral Song had been expecting this. The Valkyrian hegemony was a military alliance of 6 species that believed in maintaining strict order throughout the galaxy. They had been uncomfortable with human integration from the beginning. The hegemony's leader, Supreme Commander Krathvar, was known for his conservative views and his belief that different species should remain separate for galactic stability. He had voted against every proposal to lift Earth's quarantine status. Diplomat Nahyejin was on Centauri Prime when the hegemony made their formal demands. She had been working with the Galactic Council to establish new protocols for human involvement in galactic affairs. The meeting was not going well. "The humans have already proven they cannot be controlled," Supreme Commander Krathvar announced to the assembled council. "They ignore our safety protocols, enter dangerous areas without proper authorization, and treat galactic emergencies like routine exercises. They save lives," Diplomat Na replied calmly. "In 6 months, human rescue teams have saved over 10,000 galactic citizens from situations that other teams could not handle." Supreme Commander Krathvar stood up from his seat. That is exactly the problem. No species should be that capable. Their abilities are unnatural and disruptive to galactic order. What happens when they decide to use those abilities for conquest instead of rescue? Council member Teknar, who had become a supporter of human integration, spoke carefully. Supreme Commander, the humans have shown no signs of aggressive intentions. Every action they have taken has been to help others. For now, Supreme Commander Krathvar replied, but a species that treats Class 13 Deathworld conditions as normal cannot be trusted to remain peaceful forever. Their very existence threatens the balance of power in the galaxy. The debate continued for hours. Some council members supported the hegemony's position, worried about the long-term implications of having such a powerful species in the galaxy. Others pointed to the thousands of lives that humans had saved and the problems they had solved. Finally, Supreme Commander Krathvar made a declaration that shocked everyone in the chamber. The hegemony demands that Earth be returned to full quarantine status immediately, he announced. All human ships must return to their home system within 30 days. Any human vessels found outside the Sol system after that time will be considered hostile and dealt with accordingly. Diplomat Na felt her heart racing. This was a direct threat against Earth and its people. Supreme Commander, you cannot threaten Earth over our humanitarian activities. This is not a threat, Supreme Commander Krathvar replied coldly. This is galactic policy. The hegemony has the support of 23 council members. That is enough to enforce quarantine protocols. The vote was close, but the hegemony achieved their goal. By a margin of 23 to 19, the Galactic Council voted to reinstate Earth's quarantine. All human rescue operations would be stopped, and Earth ships would be forced to return home. Admiral Song received the news while his fleet was completing the rescue operation on Frigel 4. The mining accident had trapped 340 workers in collapsed tunnels, and human teams had been working for 18 hours to free them. Admiral, we just received orders from the Galactic Council, Communications Officer Lee reported. All human operations are to cease immediately. We're ordered to return to Earth within 30 days. Admiral Song looked at the rescue operation still happening below. His teams were close to reaching the final group of trapped miners. If they stopped now, those people would die. Send a message to Earth Command, Admiral Song ordered. Tell them we will complete this rescue operation before we consider any return orders. The response from the hegemony was swift and aggressive. Supreme Commander Krathvar deployed a fleet of 40 warships to force human vessels to comply with the quarantine. Order Engineer Captain Kim Dahyun was leading a repair mission to restore atmosphere systems on Colony Beta 7 when the hegemony fleet arrived. The colony's life support was failing, and 2,000 colonists were in immediate danger. Human vessel, you are ordered to cease operations and return to your home system, announced the hegemony fleet commander. Failure to comply will result in your vessel being disabled. Captain Kim looked at the readings from the colony below. The atmosphere would become unbreathable in less than 8 hours if his team did not complete the repairs. Hegemony fleet? This is a humanitarian emergency, Captain Kim replied. There are 2,000 lives at stake. We need 6 more hours to complete essential repairs. Your operations are no longer authorized, the hegemony commander responded. Leave immediately or face the consequences. Captain Kim made a decision that would change galactic history. Negative, hegemony fleet. We will not abandon people who need our help. The standoff lasted for 3 hours. Hegemony ships surrounded the human vessel while Captain Kim's team worked frantically to complete their repairs. The tension was broken when Captain Kim sent a message that was broadcast across the galaxy. To all species of the Galactic Council, Captain Kim announced, the human vessel Busan's Hope is completing emergency repairs to save 2,000 lives. The hegemony fleet is preventing us from finishing this humanitarian mission. We ask all civilized species to consider what kind of galaxy we want to live in. The message reached every major world within hours. Public opinion began to shift as species across the galaxy realized that the hegemony was preventing life-saving operations for political reasons. Admiral Song arrived at Colony Beta 7 with a fleet of 15 human ships, just as the hegemony commander was preparing to disable Captain Kim's vessel. The sight of the human fleet caused a tense moment that could have started the first galactic war in over 200 years. This is Admiral Song Min-jae of the Earth Fleet. Admiral Song announced on all frequencies. We are here to complete a humanitarian mission. Any interference with life-saving operations will be considered an act of hostility against innocent civilians. Supreme Commander Krathvar himself arrived with additional ships, bringing the total hegemony force to 80 vessels surrounding the human fleet. Admiral Song, Supreme Commander Krathvar transmitted, "You are in violation of galactic law. Surrender your vessels immediately." Admiral Song's response was calm but firm. "Supreme Commander, we are saving lives. That is not a crime in any legal system that deserves respect." The standoff might have led to violence, but something unexpected happened. Ships from other species began arriving at Colony Beta 7. The Azurian Federation sent a medical fleet. The Zephyrian Science Council sent support vessels. Even some species that had voted for the quarantine sent ships to assist the rescue operation. Captain Velthari, of the Harmony's Edge, the ship that had first contacted Earth, transmitted a message that was heard across the galaxy. "All vessels, this is Captain Velthari. I was the first to make contact with the humans. I have seen what they can accomplish when they are allowed to help. Today we choose what kind of galaxy we want to be." Council member Theknar, who was monitoring the situation from Centauri Prime, called an emergency session of the Galactic Council. "Council members," he announced, "we are watching our most capable rescue specialists being prevented from saving lives by our own political decisions. This is not who we want to be." The emergency vote was swift and decisive. By a margin of 31 to 11, the Galactic Council overturned the quarantine order. Earth was officially welcomed as a full member of the galactic community. Supreme Commander Krathvar, facing opposition from his own alliance members, was forced to stand down. The hegemony fleet withdrew from Colony Beta 7, and the human rescue operation was completed successfully. All 2,000 colonists were saved. As Admiral Song prepared his report on the incident, he reflected on what had happened. The galaxy had been forced to choose between fear and hope, between isolation and cooperation. The choice they made would define the future for all species. The age of human quarantine was over. The age of galactic cooperation was about to begin. 5 years had passed since the standoff at Colony Beta 7, and the galaxy looked completely different. President Lim Jae-wook stood at the window of Earth's new Galactic Council headquarters, watching ships from dozens of different species arrive and depart from the orbital station above Earth. What had started as a quarantine zone had become the busiest hub of activity in known space. Earth was now officially designated as the galaxy's emergency response headquarters, and the transformation had been remarkable. President Lim reviewed the morning reports as he prepared for another busy day. In the past week alone, human teams had prevented a dam collapse on Kepler 186f, restored power systems during an ice storm on Proxima Centauri b, and evacuated a research station from a Category 5 hurricane on Wolf 359c. "Mr. President," his aide announced, "General Huang So-young is here for your morning briefing." General Huang entered the office carrying a datapad filled with the day's emergency response operations. She had been appointed as the first director of the Galactic Emergency Response Corps, an organization that now included trained specialists from 47 different species. "Good morning, Mr. President," General Huang said. "We have 3 major operations running today, and 2 new requests that just came in." She activated the holographic display that showed a map of the galaxy with various emergency situations marked in different colors. "Our teams are currently handling a volcanic situation on Gliese 667 cc, a severe storm system on Kepler 442b, and a search and rescue operation in the asteroid belt near Vega. All operations are proceeding normally." President Lim smiled at the phrase, "proceeding normally." 5 years ago, these situations would have been considered impossible challenges that might require weeks or months to resolve. Now they were routine operations that human-led teams handled as standard procedure. "What about the new requests?" President Lim asked. "The first is from the Andromedan Science Collective," General Huang explained. "They've discovered a new form of crystalline life on a planet with extreme magnetic fields. The environment is too hostile for their research teams, but they think our specialists can handle it." President Lim nodded. Extreme environment research had become one of Earth's most requested services. Human scientists, protected by equipment designed for Earth's harsh conditions, could work in environments that other species found completely impossible. "The second request is more interesting," General Huang continued. It's from the Triangulum Exploration Guild. They found signs of a previously unknown civilization on a Class 9 Deathworld. They want our help making first contact. This was exactly the kind of mission that had become Earth's specialty. Other Deathworld civilizations were being discovered across the galaxy, and human diplomats had become the experts at peaceful contact with species that had evolved under extreme conditions. Assign Dr. Park Yuna to the first mission and Ambassador Chen Wei to the second. President Lim decided, make sure they have full support teams. Dr. Park Yuna had become the galaxy's leading expert on extreme environment research. Her work with the Deathworld Research Institute had identified 12 new potentially habitable worlds that other species had dismissed as too dangerous for colonization. Ambassador Chen Wei was one of Earth's most successful first contact specialists. He had already helped 3 other Deathworld civilizations integrate peacefully into galactic society, using protocols developed from Earth's own experience. As General Huang left to coordinate the day's operations, President Lim reflected on how much had changed. The galaxy that had once feared Earth now depended on Earth for solutions to their most difficult problems. The transformation had not been easy. It had required years of careful diplomacy, thousands of successful rescue operations, and the gradual building of trust between humans and dozens of different species. But the results spoke for themselves. The Galactic Emergency Response Corps now had training facilities on 15 different worlds, where alien specialists learned human techniques for operating in extreme environments. The Deathworld Protocol had become the standard method for handling dangerous situations across the galaxy. More importantly, the success of human integration had changed how the galaxy thought about other challenging species and environments. The discovery of new Deathworld civilizations was no longer seen as a threat, but as an opportunity to add new capabilities to the galactic community. President Lim's thoughts were interrupted by an incoming priority communication. The image of Captain Velthari appeared on his screen, now serving as the Azurian Federation's liaison to Earth. President Lim, Captain Velthari said, I wanted to give you advance notice of today's council session. We're voting on the proposal to expand the Deathworld integration program to include civilizations from the Andromeda Galaxy. This was the natural evolution of what had started with Earth's integration. As exploration expanded beyond the Milky Way, new civilizations were being discovered that had evolved under conditions even more extreme than Earth. The galaxy now wanted to apply the lessons learned from human integration to help these species join the broader community. How does the vote look? President Lim asked. Very positive, Captain Velthari replied. Even the former hegemony worlds are supporting the expansion. Supreme Commander, Krathvar himself has admitted that his opposition to human integration was a mistake. The transformation of the Velkarian hegemony had been one of the most surprising developments of the past 5 years. After watching human teams save thousands of lives during a massive earthquake on their homeworld, even the most conservative species had come to appreciate the value of Deathworld capabilities. That afternoon, President Lim attended the dedication ceremony for the new Interspecies Emergency Training Center. The facility had been built in orbit around Earth, where representatives from across the galaxy could learn human emergency response techniques. The ceremony was attended by dignitaries from over 60 species, many of whom had initially opposed Earth's integration into galactic society. Now they were competing to send their best specialists for training with human experts. This facility represents the best of what we can accomplish together, President Lim said in his dedication speech. When different species share their unique strengths, we all become stronger. After the ceremony, President Lim met with Park Ji-han, the astronaut who had made first contact with Captain Velthari 5 years earlier. Park Ji-han now served as Earth's ambassador for new civilizations, responsible for making peaceful contact with newly discovered species. I have an interesting assignment coming up, Park Ji-han told President Lim as they walked through the space station's observation deck. We've detected signals from a civilization in the Magellanic Clouds. Initial analysis suggests they've evolved on a Class 14 Deathworld. President Lim raised his eyebrows. Class 14? That's even more extreme than Earth. Yes, Park Ji-han replied. Their planet apparently has gravity 3 times stronger than Earth, an atmosphere with 35% oxygen, and average temperatures ranging from -60 to +80 degrees Celsius. They also seem to coexist with predators that make Earth's wildlife look gentle. How do you plan to approach them? President Liam asked. Park Ji-han smiled. The same way Captain Velthari approached us, with respect, curiosity, and an open mind. If we've learned anything over the past 5 years, it's that every species has something valuable to contribute. As the day ended, President Lim stood again at his office window, watching the busy traffic of ships around Earth. The planet that had once been classified as too dangerous for contact was now the heart of galactic civilization. The transformation had happened because humans had proven that strength came not from conquering others, but from helping others. Earth's harsh environment had created a species uniquely capable of solving problems that other species couldn't handle. But humans had chosen to use that capability for the benefit of everyone. The galaxy was safer now because of that choice. Disasters that once would have killed thousands were now manageable challenges. Environments that once would have been impossible to explore were now accessible for research and development. And civilizations that once would have been isolated by their extreme homeworlds were now valued members of the galactic community. President Lim received one final report before leaving for the day. It was from Dr. Moon Jiwon, who was leading a research expedition to study the ecosystem of a newly discovered Class 11 Deathworld. The life forms here are absolutely fascinating, Dr. Moon's report read. They've developed survival strategies that we never imagined possible. I believe we can learn techniques from them that will help us handle even more extreme environments. The diversity of life in the galaxy continues to amaze me. As President Lim prepared to go home to his family, he thought about how far they had all come. Earth's children were now growing up in a galaxy where dozens of species worked together, where the most dangerous challenges were seen as opportunities for cooperation, and where being different was considered a strength rather than a threat. The galaxy had learned an important lesson from humanity, that survival was not about being the strongest or the most advanced. Survival was about adapting, helping others, and never giving up no matter how impossible the situation seemed.